My short story was Girl by Jamaica Kincaid. A brief overview of the story: it was first published in The New Yorker in 1978, and it was later published in the author's collection in 1983. The entire story is one sentence long, this long, and it is like around 650 words. And this is significant because it emphasizes the repetition and makes it more manipulative. The premise of the story is a mother giving advice to her daughter on how to be a proper woman in society. So that led me to a Google search of a proper lady versus a proper gentleman. When I looked up a proper lady, it came up with devoted and loyal, which we can assume it means devoted and loyal to a husband or a man, and never treacherous and a positive attitude. Whereas when I looked up a proper gentleman, it said civilized, educated, and well-mannered, which I don't think are traits that should be limited to just a gentleman. So the progression of the story. The story starts out with more like chores and expected responsibilities for the girl. For example, it says, this is how you iron your father's khaki shirt so that it does not have a crease. This is how you iron your father's khaki pants so that they don't have a crease. And it's the beginning of the story is very repetitive like this. It's just a list of all of these expectations of this girl. And then it progresses into a more personal pieces of advice, and it's almost like an attack on the girl. It says, this is how you behave in the presence of men who don't know you very well, and this way they won't recognize immediately this slut I have warned you against becoming. So taking that into the next slide, all of the pieces of advice that I found were either like chore related or appearance related. So pretty much these two factors are the only things that are making up the advice to this girl. And that's what this little pie graph shows. And then I also did a word count on the word don't and doesn't, and those came up 8 times. And then the phrase this is how, like this is how you set the table, or this is how you sew on a button, and that came up 29 times. And although these numbers seem somewhat small, the story is very short. So these two combined took up 5% of the whole story, which I think is pretty significant. Okay, then the daughter interjects into the mother's monologue twice. The first time is after the mom says, is it true that you sing Bana in Sunday school? And Bana is like a gossipy call and response song that's looked at very negatively. And the daughter does not actually respond right away. It's like 2 phrases after that. So the mom is like moving at such a rapid pace and like disregarding her daughter so much that the daughter doesn't even respond. She responds by saying, but I don't sing Bana on Sundays at all and never in Sunday school. But that's like after the mom had already moved on. And along with that, the mom doesn't even respond to what her daughter said. And this is like, her daughter's almost like saying this is like an unfair criticism of her because she doesn't do what her mom's saying she does. The second time is when the mother says, always squeeze bread to make sure it's fresh. And this time the daughter does actually respond directly after it and says, but what if the baker won't let me feel the bread? And the mom does respond this time, but it's almost like blaming the daughter, and it's very accusatory. So I next want to talk about the title being Girl. And I think that it's somewhat ironic because the contents of the story are like more mature content that a girl shouldn't have to be worrying about. Like a young girl should not have to be worrying about, as her mom says, becoming a slut. And also, I looked at this as like a mother-daughter talk. When we think of that, we think of like puberty and like growing up, whereas her mom is talking about all of these responsibilities that she has in the world, and responsibilities and her like prepared role in the society. So then what is the goal of her mother as the narrator? I think that the mother just wants her daughter to be viewed well in the society. Although she might not agree with all of these things, she just wants her daughter to be successful.